I've spent the past few years studying the biggest personal brands in the world, the ones making millions of dollars across business, health, marketing, digital products, sales, even private equity. And even though many of these personal brands look very different on the surface, they all follow the exact same 3-stage playbook. And I promise, once you see this pattern, you'll never look at personal branding the same way again. And I know this playbook works because it's the same I've used to generate hundreds of millions of views for my clients. So in this video, I'll break the entire playbook down so you can start implementing it for your own personal brand. Let's get into it. So step 1 is brand foundation. And this is where almost every new personal brand gets it completely wrong. Because when most people start, the first question they usually ask is, what should I post? How should my editing look? What hooks are working? And what thumbnails are getting clicks? They look at someone like Alex Hormozi, Cody Sanchez, Iman Gacci, and just copy what these people are doing today and wonder why it does nothing for them. It does nothing for them because they're copying an already successful brand. They're not studying what made these brands successful. They're copying the outer layer, the topics, the editing, the hooks, the thumbnails, without building the foundation underneath. And without that foundation, even great content becomes completely forgettable. The $100 million personal brands did not begin with content. They began with a clear positioning in the market. Cody Sanchez is an incredible example. She's teaching people how to buy and grow businesses. And that's not a new model. She did not invent business acquisitions, but she did package it in a way where most people could instantly understand it and remember it. Instead of saying just buy businesses and grow them, she said buying boring businesses is one of the biggest wealth generating vehicles hiding in plain sight. The information did not change. The positioning changed. Now she was not just another person talking about entrepreneurship. She became the boring business woman. Every piece of content reinforced the same core idea. The information itself did not need to be revolutionary because the framing made it feel distinct. Alex Hormozi did the same thing in a completely different way. The business education industry is filled with people making everything sound more complicated than it is so they can sell you their secret. But Hormozi took the complete opposite positioning. He made everything brutally simple, gave away all of the information, and explained business using frameworks anyone could understand. That became his brand positioning. He could talk about offers, sales, hiring, marketing, leadership, but it still all felt like Hormozi because every topic passed through the same brand foundation. And this is the pattern you can see across virtually every $100 million personal brand. They're not successful because every idea they share is completely original. They're successful because they have a clear perspective that makes familiar information feel like it could only have come from them. Think about physical products. A shoe is a shoe, soap is soap, yet new shoe companies and soap companies are launched every single year and some of them become enormous. Why? Because people are not buying the object. They're buying what the brand makes the object mean. Your personal brand works the exact same way. You can talk about the exact same thing as thousands of other people in your industry, but you need a clear brand positioning. Because this brand positioning becomes sort of a filter for you where you can run every single content idea through it, every single decision for your brand, or every single video that you're about to post through this, so it becomes distinct to your brand. Picture it like a black box. You take a topic that's already performing in your niche and put it into the box. But before it comes out, it passes through your beliefs, your positioning, your experiences, and your language so it fits your brand. The output is no longer a generic piece of content. It becomes Hormozi coded, Cody Sanchez coded, Iman Gacci coded, and for you, it needs to become you coded. That is the difference between just copying the content of a $100 million personal brand and actually looking at the first principles that turned them into a $100 million personal brand. Just copying them gives you random views at best. The other builds an association in the viewer's mind. So every time they see your content, they understand more clearly who you are, what you believe, and why they should follow you. So before you obsess over hooks, cameras, editing, or thumbnails, get the foundation right. Because execution can amplify a strong brand, but it can never rescue a brand that stands for nothing. Now, step 2 is content creation, and just because the brand foundation comes first, it does not mean the execution is not important. Because once you know what your brand should stand for, you still need to package those ideas in a way people actually want to consume. But before I explain how $100 million personal brands do that, look at these videos first. Now look at these, and these, and these. Do you think it's a coincidence that all of these videos use almost the exact same thumbnail or title? Of course not. The $100 million personal brands do not reinvent the wheel every time they create content. They may have extremely distinct positioning, but the execution of that positioning is usually far less original than what you would think. And there's a simple reason for that. Nobody knows with complete certainty whether a completely original idea will perform. And if you're running a business, you cannot spend 10 hours creating every video and simply hope people watch it. You need a system that consistently increases your chances of winning. That is why the $100 million personal brand built their content using elements that have already been proven to work. Every piece of content is made from smaller components. On YouTube, you have the topic, the title, the thumbnail, the intro, the structure, etc. In short form, you have the topic, the verbal hook, the visual hook, the written hook, the format, and the payoff. The biggest brands study these elements separately. They might find a thumbnail that worked for one creator, a title proven by another, and an opening hook from a completely different niche. They then mix and match those elements to create the building blocks for a new video. I call this mixing and matching viral components. You see, instead of just guessing everything from scratch, you're now stacking multiple components of a video that has already evidence behind them. But that does not mean you just blindly copy somebody else's content, because the $100 million personal brands run this idea through the brand foundation that we talked about in the previous section. The topic passes through their positioning, beliefs, stories, experiences, language, and offer. That is what turns a proven idea into something that still feels completely aligned with the person publishing it. This creates what I call proven unique content. The packaging is proven enough to earn attention, but the substance is unique enough to reinforce your brand. That is the balance you want. If everything is original, you're gambling on whether people will actually care. But if everything is just copied, you may get some views without giving people any reason to remember you. Proven unique content gives you both. But creating content that performs while reinforcing your brand is only one part of the execution. The next part is consciously distributing that content through your content funnel. And this is where most new personal brands makes yet another mistake. They over-index for views. They publish something, see a large number on the screen, get a dopamine rush, and then immediately decides that they need to create more of it. But views alone are not the objective of a personal brand. Profitable attention is. There are creators getting millions of views who cannot sell a t-shirt to the audience. Meanwhile, there are other people who get 700 views per video and make millions of dollars because it's the right 700 people watching every time. So the $100 million personal brands do not only ask how many views can we get, they also ask how much top of funnel content do we need to reach new people, how much middle of funnel content do we need to build trust, and how much bottom of funnel content do we need to turn that trust into revenue. Top of funnel content gets new people into your world. It's usually broader, more entertaining, and easier to share because the goal is simply to earn attention from people who do not know you yet. Middle of funnel content then takes that attention and turns it into trust. This is where you go deeper into the problems you solve, demonstrate your expertise, and give people a reason to see you as an authority. And bottom of funnel content connects that trust directly to your offer. It shows proof, addresses objections, and gives people a reason to actually buy from you. But there's no universal distribution split between top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel content that just works for everybody. If you sell one expensive service to a very specific type of person, you may not need millions of people entering your funnel. You just need enough of the right people, followed by content that demonstrates your expertise, addresses their problems, proves your results, and make you the obvious person to buy from. Meaning, your content funnel distribution should include more middle of funnel content than a lot of other personal brands. But if you have a broader audience and multiple different offers, your business may require significantly more top of funnel attention. In that case, reach and virality becomes a much stronger proxy for sales because the business needs a larger volume of people entering the funnel. And this content funnel distribution should change as your brand evolves. If nobody knows you exist, create more top of funnel content. If your reach is growing but sales are not, you probably need more middle of funnel or bottom of funnel content. Your content strategy should respond to the bottlenecks within your business. But there's a lot of variables here: your offer, your audience, your price, sales process, and current reach. which is why I created a free content funnel distribution calculator where you can just see the perfect distribution of your content funnel. There is no email opt-in. Just watch this video till the end and then click the link in the description and it will show you how your content should be distributed. So quickly to summarize, the goal is simply not to get more views from random people. It is to use proven execution that attract the right attention, then systematically move that attention to your business. Okay, step 3 is tracking and optimization. If I asked you right now, how much is a view worth for your business on every single platform? Could you answer? I bet you couldn't, because most people can't. But the $100 million personal brands, they can absolutely answer this because they treat their content like every other part of their business. They track what's working, understand why it's working, and then systematically do more of it. Now, this doesn't mean that you should close this video and set up some random Claude code automation that tracks 50 different metrics of your content, because for most personal brands, tracking only needs to help you improve 2 things: your total reach and the profitability of that reach. So let's start with reach. The first thing you want to do is separate your content into different formats. You may have talking head videos, reaction videos, split screen videos, interviews, or whatever format makes sense for your brand. Then instead of judging each format from one individual post, create multiple videos in each format and compare the average performance at the end of the month. Look at the average views, the followers generated, and the positive engagement for each format. And the word average is extremely important here, because one of the biggest mistakes people make is posting a new format once, seeing that it underperformed, and then immediately deciding that the entire new format does not work. That is completely irrational. Social media algorithms are incredibly nuanced. A strong format can underperform because the topic was weak, because the intro was slightly too slow, or the platform simply showed that video to the wrong group of people. Some of the creators you've seen generating tens of millions of views had already posted extremely similar videos before that one finally exploded. If they had just judged the format based on the first attempt, the video that changed the business might never have existed. So you need to give every format enough attempts to prove itself. Then, at the end of the month, you look at the data logically. Which format consistently generated the most reach? Which format attracted the most followers? Which format got the most positive comments from the type of people you actually want in your audience? You can then keep the winners, remove the clear losers, and improve everything in between. This is how you increase the reach without changing your entire strategy every time one video underperforms. But reach is only half of the equation. You also need to track how profitable that reach is. At a basic level, you need to track how many people each platform sends to your website or landing page, how many of those visitors becomes leads, and how many of those eventually becomes customers. From those visitors, 1,000 became leads and 50 purchased. Now you have something useful. You can compare that with YouTube, LinkedIn, or any other platform and start understanding where your most profitable attention is coming from. And more importantly, you can diagnose what needs to improve. If your reach increases but your leads and sales stay the same, you may be creating too much broad top of funnel content and not enough content that builds trust or connects your audience to your offer. And if a platforms generate fewer views but converts an unusually high percentage of viewers into customers, the content may not be the problem at all. You may simply need to improve the packaging so more of the right people see it. This is the feedback loop the $100 million personal brands are constantly running. They do not panic when one video fails, and they do not blindly celebrate when one video gets millions of views. They look at patterns. Is our reach increasing? Is that reach becoming more profitable? And based on those answers, where is the bottleneck? The brand foundation gives people something to remember. The content creation system then gets that brand in front of the viewers. And tracking tells you exactly what to improve, so the entire system compounds over time. That is what the $100 million personal brands understand. What looks like endless consistency from the outside is actually controlled iteration behind the scenes. And as you can see, these brands did not build a $100 million personal brand by constantly reinventing the wheel. They built a clear foundation, created content using proven systems, and improved that system with every single video they posted. And if you want me to build the same kind of system for your personal brand, click the link in the description and book a completely free call with me. I'll show you exactly how to turn your content into a brand that compounds over time. I'll see you in the next video.